The delivery sky Mamit, the Lawless Land, dilapidated building stood isolated amidst the desolate wasteland. This was a gathering place for the worst criminals, a refuge for those abandoned by a world. Inside a raucous tavern, thick with the smell of sweat and cheap liquor, a burly man hoisting a large mace on his shoulder roared, "Grabbed a newcomer, you bastards!" His roar drowned out all other noise, drawing the attention of the entire crowd. But then his gaze stopped on an acquaintance who had just entered. He smirked, his tone shifting from menacing to mocking. "Oh, who's this? Isn't that Tonk? Got caught again and crawled back here, eh?" The crowd burst into laughter once more. The man called Tonk, showing no shame, raised his tankard high and proudly bellowed, "That's right, I'm back." Cheers and clinking tankards echoed throughout the room. The outlaws celebrated their comrade's return as a triumph. Amidst the commotion, the entire crowd suddenly fell silent, their attention abruptly drawn to the door. Standing there, in the darkness of the doorway, was a cloaked figure. The light from inside the tavern only illuminated the lower half of Jin Runcandel's resolute face and his sharp, icy blue eyes. The bulky bearded man turned around, his face a mix of surprise and amusement. "Huh? Looks like we really have a new one this time." In the tense atmosphere, Jin Runcandel remained calm, his hood covering half his face. He gently flicked a silver coin into the air, a clear ting sound echoing, then spoke coldly. "Cold water and snacks." Jin's actions and words made a mustached man, who looked like the innkeeper, bang his hand on the table in anger. "Huh, well look at this kid." The original bearded man also stepped forward, growling inquisitively. "You're just a rookie, but you don't have a rookie's attitude. Who are you, a 9-star knight from somewhere?" The giant leaned down, a cruel and wicked smile on his lips. "Hey, rookie, if you've come to Mamit, you have to learn Mamit's rules," he growled, his tone condescending. "Kneel and lick my toes." Before he could finish, a painful sound echoed. The blade had touched the thug's neck. The dark red blood splattered onto the wooden table, mixing with the foamy beer from the overturned glass. His hand still clutched the dagger, and his voice rang out full of impatience. "How long do you intend to make me wait?" Thwack! Those standing nearby flinched, eyes wide with horror as they stared at the stranger who had just acted. The terrifying silence lasted only for a moment. Immediately afterward, the entire tavern erupted in excited cheers. "Ha ha! He's gone, truly gone! I knew he'd get his comeuppance someday." Everyone raised their cups, laughing gleefully, celebrating the disappearance of the troublemaker. Amidst the joyful chaos, Jin quietly observed, his eyes unwavering. He thought to himself, "Just as Master said, only madmen gather here. If I want to be acknowledged by these outlaws, it seems I'll have to show them a different level of courage and skill." His hand tightened around the hilt of his blade, a cold resolve forming within him. The dim light of the inn, Jin Runcandel sat quietly. "Even in my previous life, I received much help. I hope there will be a day I can repay this kindness to you, master." Lost in thought, a large man with a thick mustache approached, placing a simple plate of food and a glass of milk on the table. "I haven't poisoned it," he said in a hoarse voice. Jin looked up, his sharp blue eyes calm, and replied, "Poisoning is not allowed in this area." The man smirked, seemingly accustomed to wary guests. "I know that much." "You know a lot, young man. Is there anyone in your family on the council here?" Instead of answering, Jin quietly placed a gold coin on the rough wooden counter. The metallic clink echoed dryly in the quiet space. "You don't need to know." The man's eyes lit up when he saw the coin. He dropped his curious demeanor, shifting to the professional attitude of an information broker. What do you want? Opium? We have a very good product lately. If not that, are you looking for someone?" "The latter," Jin replied curtly, his gaze unwavering. For a moment, the image of a woman with hair as fiery red as flames, flowing in the wind, flashed through his mind. Jin quietly asked, his voice carrying a faint glimmer of hope, "Perhaps, is there anyone named Hyster here?" The innkeeper shook his head, his eyes resolute. "No, I'm sure." Jin nodded slightly under his cloak, his voice calm. "I understand. Then please recommend a place for me to stay, somewhere the bugs can't crawl into." He sat quietly, hands on his lap, his demeanor composed, but the eyes hidden behind his hood exuded sharpness. The innkeeper thought for a moment, looking at the mysterious guest before him, then replied, "There's only one such place, an inn in the west of the city called Moonlight Well. That's where the kings of Mamit reside, so there's no need to cause any fuss." As night fell, the full moon cast its silver light upon the closely packed rooftops of the city. In West Mamit, the Moonlight Well Inn appeared majestic and brightly lit amidst the darkness. As he walked under the moonlight, the night wind billowing his cloak, calculations began to clearly form in Jin's mind. Alcaro Zanderer is a foolish young master of the Count. He grew up never knowing what suffering was. He indulged in pleasure and entertainment. The only things he possessed were a pleasant face and his family name. But he was a typical scumbag, one who only knew how to bully the weak and flatter the strong. The delivery shut of night of the unfamiliar city, Jin Runcandel stood silent, his hood obscuring most of his face but failing to hide his sharp eyes analyzing the situation. He understood everything now. The reason he idly waited in this dangerous city was to attract the attention of the Ice Palace Lord, so the only place he could be was this inn. In Jin's memory, a conversation at a dim restaurant resurfaced. He recalled crucial information he had heard. Just now, I definitely heard him mention a new medicine in Mamit. Most likely, he's in his room taking the medicine. Having identified his target, Jin moved towards the inn, his shadow merging with the hazy night fog. He knew this was no simple task. As the Ice Palace Lord's lover, I'm sure he'll have bodyguards. First, I should assess the situation in the main lobby. Stepping through the threshold, Jin immediately realized he was in luck. In the warmly lit main lobby, a heated argument was unfolding. A young nobleman in a splendid red coat was slamming his fist on the counter, yelling in anger at his bodyguard. Why do you say I can't? You're the ones who saved me yesterday. How annoying. Please go. I beg you. Without it, I'm not confident I can last an hour." Faced with that desperate fury, the bodyguard remained standing tall, his expression cold and resolute. He calmly replied, "You cannot do that anymore. Our mission is to protect you, young master." The bodyguard's steady voice rang out, his sharp eyes fixed on the displeased nobleman. "You must remember that you are not being pampered here." But before the advice could finish, the nobleman cut him off with an angry shout, his face contorted with rage. "Shut up! I don't want to hear it. All of you, shut your mouths. If you don't understand, I will have my own plans. You useless commoners, I will remember each and every one of your faces. When my beloved returns, I will have all of your heads." A sigh seemed to add fuel to the fire. The nobleman spun around, shouting, "Huh? How dare you sigh in front of me?" The lead bodyguard's fist unconsciously clenched, trying to restrain himself. The nobleman continued to hurl insults. "You low-class commoners, I am a member of the Zanderer family." His words were abruptly cut short. In a flash, the bodyguard punched the nobleman directly in the stomach. "Ugh!" A cry of pain rang out as he flew backward, collapsing onto the floor. The lead bodyguard quickly caught the unconscious nobleman, while his comrade clicked his tongue in disgust. "Tuh, how much longer do we have to protect this scum? I wish he'd just overdose and die. I really don't understand why that person wants to keep someone like him alive." "Silence," the lead bodyguard ordered coldly, his gaze unwavering. "We only do what is required. Personal feelings are not permitted to interfere." The deliverer should quietly observe from afar as a guard carried Alcaro on his shoulder ascending the wooden stairs. Based on their aura, Jin surmised these escorting guards must be at least 6-star strong. He thought to himself, killing Alcaro seems easier than I imagined, but the problem is what comes next. I need to find a way to defeat him, avoid the guards, and return safely. Retreating into a secluded corner under the faint light of a lamp, Jin sank deep into thought. In Mamit, there's an unwritten rule against using poisons. If I break it, the entire city will descend into chaos. Killing him instantly would make the guards a huge problem. That's it, a secret way to kill Alcaro in the Moonwell's private chamber. The young man nodded slightly, a definitive affirmation resonating in his mind. Immediately after, his hand slammed firmly onto the ground, a solid thump echoing, demonstrating unshakable resolve. Jin's eyes gleamed with a sharp light, the corner of his mouth curling into a confident smile. "I've decided." Under the harsh daytime sun of the desert land, the scene had completely changed. Jin, now proceeding with his plan, asked, "So, how many guards are accompanying him?" Suddenly, a stranger said loudly, "6." Not far away, a woman with splendid platinum hair walked by, her face clearly showing disdain. She grumbled, her tone full of condescension. "You are all enduring too much trouble just for a guy who doesn't know his place." Her hand tightly gripped the paper fan, frustration accumulating in every gesture. One of the masked subordinates quickly flattered. "Come on, today will be the end of all that, won't it? Since young lady has personally come here to eliminate him." The woman looked impatient. "I can kill someone like him at any time. You said it's Moonlight Well, right? Hurry up, I need to deliver the good news to him quickly." "Yes, young lady," the subordinate respectfully replied. As the group turned to walk away, a surge of blue energy suddenly erupted, spectral lightning dancing and spreading in the air, signaling a terrifying power about to be unleashed. The tranquil night was torn apart by a sky-shattering roar. A colossal blue energy column swirling like lightning suddenly erupted from the ground, illuminating a whole section of the town. The terrifying power blew away bricks and stones, forming a blinding vortex. The sudden sight stunned those nearby. They stumbled backward, terrified by the immense pressure weighing down on the air. One of them pointed towards the epicenter, voice trembling with fear. "Miss, it's coming from the direction of Moonwell." The dust and energy gradually settled, revealing a figure standing firm in the center. The girl's long, snow-white hair fluttered in the lingering currents. Her eyes, also an ethereal blue, were wide with surprise but showed no trace of fear. Looking towards those who caused the chaos, she subtly smirked, thinking, "They must be insane. I think they chose the wrong day to do it."